Hi, and welcome to Behind the Scenes. This week I'm going to be doing a tutorial, and you've probably guessed what it is. It's a magnolia, and obviously this is not one of sugar or anything like that. This is one made perfectly by nature. I'm lucky to have a very kind neighbour who has these blooming all over her tree at the moment, and I wanted to make something pretty to go on one of my cakes this week, and this seemed to be the absolute perfect flower for the cake, and it went with the colour scheme as well. So I've decided to make a magnolia for my cake this week, but it's not going to be out of sugar. This week I'm going to make it out of wafer paper. So it's a bit of a learning curve for me. So I thought, if I'm learning, why don't you do too? So what I wanted to show you was my real inspiration. And this comes in handy if you can get the real object, because it really does show you how they form in nature as well as how the petals are shaped. So I've had a few that have almost died, but I wanted to keep their beautiful petals, because as you can see here, you can see the shape of the petals and also the cupping of the petals and the colouring. That's really how I wanted to see. You can almost see that this is a flat petal. However, with just that little bit of movement, it really does look like it just gives that petal a lot more movement, and when you put it together with all the other petals, it'll make your flower look more realistic. So you can see there's a few different sizes and shapes. That's why I want to kind of keep that for reference for myself, and also there's some littler petals. So as you can see, the petals for the magnolia are two-toned. So there's white on one side and there's the coloured on the other side. I want to make mine quite closed like this, so you're really mainly going to see the inside of that petal. So that's what I want to accentuate, was the colour that's on the outside there. So how I'm going to colour my wafer paper, because as you know, you can't apply any type of water liquid to wafer paper because it will just disintegrate, and that's not the optimum solution we're looking for. So what I'm going to be using is a paintbrush and also some petal dust. So I'm going to show you right now. I'm going to bring the camera over and you'll see the colours that I'm using. So I'll be back shortly. Okay, so I've finished colouring my petals. I've got the inner petals and also the outer petals. I'm going to be using piping gel, and this will be used both as a glue and as a way of being able to manipulate my wafer paper. If you tried to curl this wafer paper as it is, it would crack because it would be quite hard. Piping gel allows it to become soft and pliable. What I'm going to be using as the center for my magnolias is just some little fondant circles that I'm going to stick the petals onto. You'll see it this way. This is not my technique. I've just adapted different techniques that I've learned, and I'm just trying to see how it will work for this magnolia. So it's just a learning process, and we all learn things from lots of different places. So we're so thankful for Google and YouTube and any type of online tutorial that you can find now. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to, with my paintbrush, I'm going to open up my piping gel. I'm not going to be putting the piping gel on the side that we've dusted, because obviously that's going to, if I do that, it will take off all the colour, or it will smudge the colour that we've put on there. So I'm going to be applying the piping gel to the front of my petal. So I'm going to start with putting a little bit of piping gel. You don't want too much, you don't need too much. Face side down, the coloured side down, and I'm going to be putting it on the outer edge of the top of that petal. Okay? As well as on the bottom where I put that slit. Now the reason why I put that slit there is so when the slit folds itself over, it will help with the cupping process. You can already see that my petal is starting to curve nicely. Thank you, I like that. I'll do another one and then I'll show you while I'm doing this, after I do this one rather, I'll start manipulating the other leaf and you'll see how it works. Actually, I'll do 3 at the one time, that way I can do the outer leaves to show you. So I'll leave that one there. Going on to the third one. So it's just the outer edge. You don't need too much piping gel on there. And just on the edges as well. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the original one that I had, and if you remember seeing my petal, it was, see how it curls back like this? That's what I'm trying to achieve. Okay, so it's already starting to do that just with the piping gel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, just with my fingers, I'm going to just start rolling it. And you can already see I really don't have to do that much to it. What I'm going to do is this side here, I'm going to fold them over and cup them down like that. What you can see is I'm already starting to get the shape of that petal that I want. I'm going to put a little bit of piping gel onto the center of my disc that'll be the support for my magnolia, and I'm going to put it down and press it down with the other end of my paintbrush. Okay, I want it to come up quite high, so I'm going to just press it like that. Okay, and I'm going to go around with the others. And then I'm going to fold this part over. Feel free to tear more if you feel like it needs more. Then with the other end of my brush, I'm going to push it down into that fondant. It doesn't need much to do. You can already see that my magnolia is coming up. Okay, again onto this one. Folding it and folding it over. I'm going to do the same process now with my little petals for the first 3 petals. so you can actually see how well it is coming along. I really love the effect. I mean, I'm not going for a completely realistic Magnolia. I wanted something that was quite stylized, but I just love the look and feel and the lightness. I'm actually going to be applying my center in later. I just want to do these petals and allow them to start drying soon. And I'm not really worried about this part here because I'm actually going to be placing this in the middle of 2 tiers. So you're not going to see that, and that's why I want to have 3. So I've got a nice cluster, and I'm going to do some really long, beautiful leaves to go with this flower on the cake. So really happy right now with this and the way that it looks. And there you can see the petals, or the finished petals that are on the magnolias. I'm going to be making the centers later and applying them onto my cake. I'm going to make also, I'm thinking of making some of these closed buds to go with the magnolia, and also put some long leaves on there just to give it a really organic look. So that's what the plan is for tonight. So I'll see you on the flip side tonight. Hi and welcome back. It's the following day and I have my magnolia petals have dried out into the blooms that they are. I'm going to be making the centers shortly, but first of all I want to show you, because I'm going to put the centers on after I place them on the cake. So I've got my cake here. It's quite textural and slightly Moroccan theme. I don't know how I planned it that way, but it is that way, and I love the look of it. And as you can see, my flowers go so well with these colours. So before you go and do everything with your cake, I always try and try and think about where I'm going to place them before I actually do it. So that's why I do things in 3s. 2 always looks funny. So always odd numbers. So 1, 3, 5. So what I'm going to have is I'm probably going to do something like that. I really love the way that looks, and I'll show you front on when the cake's finished. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be placing them on the cake shortly and you'll see that. And what I'm also going to do is make the centers. This is going to be a trial by error, so hopefully it will work and I can show you exactly what I'm doing, because I want to continue on with the wafer paper that I have been doing. So that's what I'm going to be making my centers out of. So, and plus, first of all, I want to show you, I had my hairs done today. Do you like it? My niece, Gilda, if you're in Sydney, hair by Julia. It's awesome. Anyway, thought I'd show you that. I'm on to the placement of my flowers very shortly. So I've placed my flowers onto the cake, and as you can see, the colours go so beautifully all together, and I really love the way that they're spilling down and they're going up. I really like to play with the volume when you're placing the flowers. I really hate to see where flowers attached to a cake. I want that hidden with extra foliage or leaves or petals or something like that. So because I've done it this way, and I haven't done my centers yet, but as you can see how I can see that there. I don't want to see that. So last night I mentioned to you that I was going to be making some centers, some little buds of magnolias, and that's what I'm going to be doing now to show you. And I want to make a couple of them just so I can place those in here and in here, and I'll add some fullness, and I'll also hide those seams to where I've added the cake. And so I'm going to do that next, and then I'm going to be doing the centers, and then we're done. And guess what? I get to go to this party. It's going to be awesome. Okay, so yesterday I made extra petals. Always do extra petals because one never knows what one will need, and one will always need a filler or two. So I'm actually going to try and make some of the buds from a magnolia. And what I'm going to be using is a styrofoam center for it. If you, at Easter time or any time that you are lucky enough to find styrofoam eggs, buy in bulk. Why not? Because they'll always come in handy. And I was just about to use my styrofoam balls when I remembered these, and these are going to be the perfect size for these petals that will go over it like this. So what I'm going to do is the same thing that I did yesterday with the other petals, is I'm going to the opposite side down, piping gel. I'm going to be putting my gel, not liberally, but a good brush over and down on that center side as well. Keep it to the side, and I'm probably going to be using 3 petals per flower, same as what I did yesterday for the centers, but I'm going to use it for 3 going around because you're not going to see the center of my flower. It's going to be all covered up with just these petals. And I'm hoping among all hopes that it actually works, because as I said before, this is the first time for me as well. So I'm going to put some of my ball okay. I should really keep a piece of styrofoam out, and I did do that just for this. Okay, so I'm going to keep that there, and while this is wet, I'm going to move these over to a V shape. That just helps cupping of your petal, and while I've got it there and in my hand, I'm going to start cupping my petal into a cup shape, so you can see how it is there. It's not straight anymore. I'm not going to worry about the excess because I can cut that off in the end. What I'm going to do for some extra support, I'm going to push my floral wire through the end, and I'm going to mold this around my egg. If you need a little bit more piping gel, put some on. And I'm keeping in mind that my hands, I don't want to put too much piping gel on the outside of my leaves because I don't want to smudge that beautiful colour that I've just put on there. So you can already see that it's starting to take shape. My next petal will go here and the last petal will go there, and you're not going to be seeing the inside of that ball. Okay, so coming on to the next one, move it over, same as what I did before to get the cup shape. Going to add a little bit more. You'll be able to actually feel whether you need some more. If you've got enough on there, it'll be nice and supple. If it's not, you'll feel it's still a little bit rigid. So if you need a little bit more, you need to manipulate it. Put a little bit more piping gel on. Don't over flood it though. So again, I'm going to be placing the wire directly down just into that center part where I folded it over. Push it up, and I'm going to just with my, oh, don't worry, the other one will cover that. These are just buds. Don't push. There's a lesson in that. Don't pull on them too hard. not moving into shape straight away. Just with a little bit of pressure, hold it down with your finger, because sticking onto the styrofoam sometimes is a little bit harder. And what I'm going to do is get my scissors, which are here. I'm just going to cut off that excess. You can actually add a calyx to this at the end. However, I don't need to do that because they're actually going to be hidden in the petals, so I'm not going to actually see the bottom there. I mean, but it's pretty tidy anyway. I'm going to do this last petal now. I'm going to be gentle when I put it on this time, so I've learnt my lesson the other time. I can feel it a little bit. Okay. Start cupping it. So then I'm going to, so what I'm doing now, I'm placing it down right into that join. Okay. So, and then I'm going to wind around my ball until I get it into the spot that's going to cover the last set of petal joins. I'm going to gently just maneuver it around. It's always manipulating the wafer paper into the shape that you want. That's one good thing about wafer paper, it does that quite well once you get used to using it. It's a little bit different to fondant, so it's just taking time to get used to it. Again, my fingers, that's where you should keep a little bit of a little wet towel next to you so you can keep your hands clean, otherwise they'll start sticking to the petal. I'm going to take off that excess there. I'm going to put a little bit more piping gel down the bottom and I'm going to press it down. And you can play around with this for a while with manipulating it. I quite like the way that it looks like it's just about to open up. So there's my Magnolia bud. Okay, I'm going to start on my other ones now. So I'm going to make 3 or 4 of them and see whether I'd rather make more than not enough, because I hate finishing things and then realising that I need another one. So you're going to see me do the next ones, but you're not going to hear my voice. Thank God, they all say. We'll do it in time lapse. So my Magnolia buds are finished, and I really like the way that they're just gentle and I can see the colour difference in them, and they're just going to make a good spacer filler for my other Magnolia flowers that are there. So it's just going to really make it a full lush bunch. So what you'll see now is me just placing the cakes on. All these floral wires have all got floral tape on them, so they can just go directly into my cake. So, like that. I actually had put one down here because I like the way that it just droops down a little bit. And now all those spaces that we saw are gone, and you've got a lot more fuller bunch, and you'll see close. This is how I'm going to be doing my centers. I'm going to have one piece of wafer paper, and I'm going to be using my dark plum dusting sugar because I want the centers to be darker than the petals, so the plum will be just a good accent for that center to make them stand out. So I'm not doing any rhyme nor reason to this. I need 3 strips, so I'm just going to do enough for 3 strips. Probably one more, I think. So strips don't have to be too long. And that's enough. So you can see there, it doesn't have to be uniform in colour. I might just put a little, now that I'm looking at it in the camera, I might add a little bit more plum down to the bottom. But that's just personal preference and anything else. So that's what I've got. I'm going to now put that away, fold over. I'm going to cut down my wafer paper just with my normal scissors, and I'm going to cut this one into 3. I mean, I'm going to try for it to be equal, but you know, if it's not exactly, I'm not going to lose sleep over it. Now, I'm always one for saving time on anything. A shortcut is sometimes the best cut. So I'm going to put all 3 papers together, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start slitting down, and only till about halfway, 3/4 down. Okay, so I did one a bit too long, but that's okay. Okay, I'll keep on going with this, and then you'll see the end part. Okay, so I've done the whole lot. You can see it's all cut through. So I will now, and I do realise I say so a lot, but so that's my problem. I'm separating this, put it down on my paper. I'm going to get my trusty piping gel brush, put some piping gel, and I've turned it upside down so it's the side that's not coloured. And what I'm doing now is I am just putting some gel on the bottom part of that strand that I didn't cut all the way through. So what I'm going to try and do now, and I'm hoping that it works, is I'm just going to circle. Sorry, I'm going to try this so for you to see it. Kind of like making pom-poms in a way. Oh, I like the way this looks. It might work. Maybe onto something. See, if you don't try, you don't know. And next time when I do this, I'll probably find that I don't probably need to make my strips as wide because it is quite fluffy. So you can already see there. It's so pretty. Hopefully you can see it just as well there. I'm going to see this extra part that's a little bit full down the bottom. I'm just going to cut off that, pinch it together, and I'm going to use that and put, I have to move you up now. In the centre of that one there. So again with my piping gel, I'm going to wet the inside. So I'm just turning it around so I can see. With the other end of my paintbrush, just my fingers could be a little bit sticky, I'm just going to press it down. just so it's in place. We could have done this last night as well, but I was still thinking about what I wanted to do last night. How pretty is that? I have to show you. I'm going to come in close because I need you to see this. Wow, I love the way it looks. Okay, I'm going to move on to the other two in time lapse. So here they are all together on my finished cake. I'll show you a better photo of my cake once it's actually in position and not on the bench. But I really love the way my stylized magnolias turned out on this cake. Such a pretty pop of colour. And you could do them in sugar as well, but I really wanted to try a softness for this cake because everything else is quite structural, as you can see with the texture. So this is just a super soft addition with a really good colour pop. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Some more will be coming very soon, but I wanted to show you just a simple way that I have come across to make these magnolias using wafer paper. Don't forget to subscribe.